Everywhere you look, people are saying AI is coming for your job. And in some industries, they're absolutely right. But in insurance adjusting, it's just not that simple. You can't automate empathy, right? You can't replace the judgment it takes to walk through a family's burned out home and figure out what happens next. Still, ignoring technology will not save you either. Therefore, if you want to stay valuable, relevant, and profitable in this business, you've got to learn how to work with the new tools without letting them replace the human element that makes you indispensable. I'm Matt with Adjuster TV, and in this final part of my conversation with Nino Berardi, CEO of the IA firm LJ Shaw & Company, we're going to look ahead at what's changing in the independent adjusting world and how you can adapt before the wave washes this all away. You'll see how firms are using drones, AI, and automation in practical ways, what kinds of claims will always need boots on the ground, and how your reputation can keep you working no matter how much the industry evolves. And listen, if you want to take your adjusting career seriously, then you need to be where the industry actually comes together. The National Association of Catastrophe Adjusters Convention isn't just another conference. It's the one place where adjusters, firms, and industry leaders all meet under one roof to share knowledge, build connections, and open real doors to opportunity. And this year it's happening at the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant, Oklahoma, January 25th through the 29th. So if you're ready to expand your network, sharpen your skills, and see what's next in the world of catastrophe adjusting, then you need to make plans to join us at the NAIIA convention by registering right now at NAIIAadjuster.org, and I better see you there. Also, if you want industry standard damage identification books, trainings, and certifications, then you need to get hooked up with Hague Education. Go to HagueEducation.com and use code AdjusterTV at checkout. All right, let's get into my conversation with Nino, starting now. Talk about the National Association of Independent Insurance Adjusters, NAIIA, and sort of what its role is in the independent property claims industry.
So the NAIIA, it's an organization made up of about approximately 200 member firms throughout the country, various sizes. Some are smaller, some are larger. Not all members are property focused. Some are workers' comp, liability, multi-line. So it's strictly not just a property adjusting organization. It's an independent adjusting organization for all facets of insurance claims. Again, we have about 200 member firms across the country. It's a great, I will say this, LJ Shaw has been involved with the organization. Our organization is about 88 years old. The NAIIA is about 88 years old. We've been involved since 1947, LJ Shaw, and we found benefit over the years. The members are competitors, technically, but It's not that type of situation. It's not, I've never felt that cutthroat that we're competing against each other. I've built some, great relationships, some great friendships over the years that, if we ever have the opportunity, we're located in the Midwest. If we get a client that has a claim out east, let's say New York, and it just doesn't make sense for us to handle that claim, I have no issue with calling someone that's part of the organization, the NAIIA, one of our competitors, but I have full trust, calling them saying, can you take this assignment for our client? They need someone in your area. I think there's just a lot of benefits, meeting with various IA firms throughout the country, seeing what the trends are going on in other parts of the country that maybe haven't hit your area yet. Not just claims adjusting, but running an IA firm. Being a business owner of an IA firm, seeking some advice, some how to make you better, how to make you more efficient, what software, what programs are you using to run your business? It's not only claims adjusting, but it's also business ownership that I find benefit from as well.
Yeah, I've been to at least two national conferences for NAIIA. I could tell. It's a big family. I mean, it's the environment it's very, everybody seems to be friends, and you don't walk in there thinking, oh, these people are all they're all enemies and they're all competitors or whatever. So say if I'm a new or a newer adjuster, maybe I've got up to a year's worth of experience. I've got, some licenses, and I'm serious about this. This is, I've got a few claims under my belt, or I've done a ride along or two, and I'm like, this is absolutely resonating with me. I want to do this. What can the NAIIA do for me if I'm that person?
So to become a full member of the NAIIA, there are certain criteria within the bylaws. An adjuster has to have at least 5 years of experience being in the industry for at least 5 years, and also have formed a formal business, whether it be a partnership, a corporation, a proprietorship, but that has to be in existence for at least a year to be a full member. Now, having said that, just like any industry, and I'll say more importantly, our industry, we're trying to get younger. We are trying to seek interest from younger people getting into the industry. So, we're forming and looking into and trying to set up like affiliate memberships where we have different criteria, maybe not as a full member, but an affiliate member, so they could find out more about what our organization offers. We could try, I'll say, recruit younger people. And then eventually, if they continue and are in the industry that meet the criteria that I just mentioned as a full member, then at that time, we transition from an affiliate member to a full member in the organization.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's something on our agenda, the affiliate membership, regarding getting interest from younger people to pique interest in our organization and to join our organization. We have a mid-year meeting in November, and this is on our agenda that we're going to be addressing further. And we like to, if working with Adjuster TV helps that, we like to form a relationship or a greater bond and relationship with your organization to do that as well, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. So say I don't have requisite experience, and maybe the affiliate membership hasn't been, you guys haven't finalized that yet. Is there any benefit for me if I'm brand new to attend any of the conventions? Can I attend the conferences or conventions without being a member?
You can attend. We have business meetings. We have certain meetings within the conference, the national conference, where only members could attend.
Sure,
but as far as the open events, yeah, non-members attend that.
Yeah, so because I know the ones that I've been to, at least in the past, there has been an expo hall where
Yes.
a lot of the firms have little booths and stuff. So if I've got a stack of resumes and I show up at the conference and start going around and talking to people at the booths, is that beneficial to me as a new adjuster?
It can be, yes. It can. Again, I'll go back to building relationships. You never know, that one relationship, that one time that you just shook someone's hand. It might have been 5 years ago, full circle. Maybe that person, is someone that offers you a job, or you may be their boss. I don't know. Maybe they're seeking a job, and you're their boss at that time. You never know. But I'm a strong believer in never burn your bridges, and build as many relationships as you can, because you never know when that could help you out or help the other person out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I've noticed over the years. You can go to a conference like NAIIA. You can go to the conference and this year and meet the booth staff, and then next year you go and you'll see those same people, but not all of them are going to be in the same booth. They might be, because they stay in the industry, and it's a pretty small industry. So you burn a bridge with one company with one manager, and then he ends up at a different company the next year, and you try to onboard with them. He's like, well, you burnt that bridge over there, and you're going to come over here and try to, So it's like you said previously, your reputation takes a long time to develop, but it can take seconds to destroy it.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And the insurance industry, it is a large industry, but yet it's amazing how many people know one another in the industry. Yeah. So you think insurance, man, it's a massive industry. But I'm telling you that it's big, but it's amazing who you know, who know others, and it's a tighter knit community than one would think. And word gets around pretty quick. You're right. You could spend 30 years building your reputation, and then within 5 minutes you could destroy that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about, sort of what the future holds for independent claims, whether it's property or workers' comp or third party or auto or whatever it is. We have a lot of new technology seeming to kind of come online, and it seems like every day there's some new evolution or some new tool or that's making things, now I think in a lot of ways, easier for adjusters to do the work. But do you have any sort of like, thoughts on like maybe a forecast for what the next few years look like for independent adjusting as a whole?
Well, with AI, the development of AI, and again, just not the insurance industry, but I think in the world in general, that's going to be a tool utilized by a lot of carriers. Um, my personal opinion is I don't think AI will ever make an adjuster completely obsolete. It'll be a tool used to adjust claims. Um, It'll probably be a tool used more frequently to handle smaller claims. Maybe that'll impact an adjuster's role more to handle smaller claims. But on larger losses where you have a fire or you have a hurricane or a flood that's impacted, a family, um, someone's livelihood, their business, I think the policy holder is always going to want and require the human element, the human aspect, and meaning an adjuster to be involved in that situation. On your smaller losses, maybe not. You know,
Yeah.
how quick can I get paid, settle a claim, and move on? On your larger losses where it's more impactful to an individual, I think that human element is always going to be required.
Yeah. I think we've kind of been seeing that starting about 10 years ago when photo and scope started to come online. And I think, I was at a major carrier as a staff adjuster for 1 year. Later in my career as an independent, we thought we were going to kind of be planting ourselves in a spot. And I was like, well, I want to get off the road. And, so signed up with a big company and was there for a year. And absolutely, to your earlier point, I learned so beyond the training that they gave me, which was 4 months, including a month of OJT policy. I was back and forth to Boston, I don't know how many times. But what they wanted us to do, they really encouraged us to do, and it was honestly, they were like, no matter how big the claim seems to be, if you can get that thing handled over the phone or through FaceTime on your video conferencing with the insured, they're like, try and do it. Because every time you jump in your car to go drive around the countryside and do site visits, do inspections, that costs the company money. And I think these days, with like things with LiDAR on phones and Xactimate mobile and like claim experience and things like that, the insured can wave their phone around the room and get measurements. But they were like, well, you're FaceTime with the insured, have them show you the water spot or the section of fence blown down, and then find out what size shoe they have, and have them pace off the room and all this kind of stuff. But in spite of that, in talking to some of the major IA firms at NAIIA last year, they were like, we've had more field claims than ever, right? So they've companies do a lot of cat work. But again, I think to your point, it's the smaller claims have kind of already been sort of, at least when I was my experience, were already starting to go away where, except on like a major catastrophes like a hurricane or something where you have tens of thousands of tree on roof, tree on fence, shingles blown off roof kind of thing, where they just give those out to the adjusters and to take care of. But the technology is interesting, and I think that it can, again, going back to what we're talking about, being persistent, being adaptable, instead of looking at that stuff as a way that it's going to take our jobs and it's going to ruin the industry and flood it with a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing, and maybe that happens. But if you're better, if you're adaptable and you intelligently and creatively look at making these tools work for you, making you more efficient, get more stuff done, and handle more claims, serve more customers, I think, it's like you said, your reputations and your relationships are going to be the things that will carry you over the sea of stuff you see on social media about it being saturated and all this kind of stuff is what I always tell people. It's like, it's not saturated with good people. It's saturated with interest, certainly, but it's not. There may be 20,000 people in Texas with a Texas license, but fraction of those people are actually working.
You're correct. I agree with your comments. I do. Um, what you had just mentioned about a policyholder walking through their home with a camera, and I understand how that helps, but I also, my opinion, just my opinion is now you're having the policyholder kind of be the adjuster,
Right.
and are they trained as the adjuster? I mean, are they seeing and looking for what needs to be looked at? Maybe there's an area that they're not even thinking about that should be looked at, and an experienced adjuster being out at the site may catch that
Yeah.
versus when you're asking a policyholder. So I think sometimes short term, if it's cut and dry, that's a great tool. But if you're missing stuff and then you have to reopen a file and send someone out later on to verify, in the long run, it may be taking you longer to get that claim settled
Right.
and cost you more in
Yeah,
doing
for
so.
sure.
There's advantages and disadvantages both ways, but that's something as an IA that I look at sometimes from a different perspective.
So I noticed that roughly 65% of you watching right now are not subscribed to Adjuster TV here on YouTube. Subscribing is simple, it's free, and it's the easiest way to help me keep making these videos here on Adjuster TV. In a way, you're part of this channel's story. You're on this journey with us. So thank you for being here and thank you for subscribing. Speaking of technology, does your firm or any of your carrier partners, do you have any experience with drones and using those on claims?
We don't have a drone in our firm. I know there's a lot of licensing depending on the type of drone and size of the drone and so forth. There's a various licensing requirement, insurance requirement. If we need a drone, there's companies out there that we retain. There's a lot of times, if we bring in an engineer on a loss on a claim, that engineering firm may have a drone, and we'll ask their assistance in that situation for a drone. Again, a drone is a great tool to use. It's a great tool if there's coverage and there's no dispute. But if you're going to deny a claim based on the drone's findings, I think you're going to need more than that to deny or exclude a claim. So again, it's a tool that can be used, but it's only a tool. It's only a tool.
Yep. Yep.
And I know the industry. I know a lot of other IA firms they're utilizing or have drones on staff that they utilize. We're seeing that from our experience. We don't need we're not asked to have a drone on a lot of losses. Our guys go up on the roofs, but like I said, on occasion, if you have a bad fire, there's not access to get up on the roof, or limited access or dangerous access. We'll utilize a company to assist us with drone service.
Yep. Yep. And like I said, these are the kind of questions I get often. And this one is one I get because drones are cool. And a guy's like, well, man, if I could just have a drone in the back seat of my truck and, just fly that thing around, I don't even have to get on the roof. And you have to get on the roof, especially the exact scenario that you said it's exactly what I say. It's like, if you think for a second that you might be denying this, you better put your feet on it. And, it's for dangerous, unstable, unsafe, or inaccessible structures, is the main thing.
Yeah, and going back, if you want to see the condition of the roof, I'll use fire as an example. If you just want to get a general idea of what the roof looks like, how, if it's damaged, not damaged, the extent of damage, a drone is a great tool. But, if you're going to estimate that roof, and you're going to have to figure out, what type of roof system is on that roof, what's the structure holding up that roof, and you're going to need more than the drone. You're going to need to get on that roof or inspect that roof closer than utilizing a drone solely to get figures together on it.
Yeah. Bottom line, do not deny a roof without putting your foot, without getting on
Well,
it.
that would be my suggestion and
That's
recommendation.
big
Yes.
trouble. Because that's what I was told. I asked Hague about this, and they said we get called to go on so many lawsuits where the drone was used to deny a roof, and they're like, it's caused so many headaches for insurance companies. Some of the major insurance companies had drone programs, or they were trying to pilot a drone program, and just discovered that almost all of the files that had a drone associated with them reopened for something,
Yeah.
and it was just it was more work than it was worth. I mean, it seems like it would be a great tool, and it would save time, and you wouldn't have to climb roofs, but I think it just makes more work than it's worth, and
Yeah.
generally speaking.
I no, I mean, I'm hearing it. Drones are still used a lot, but I'm not hearing the same excitement as a few years ago about drone
Yeah.
usage. So, and we haven't had a client reach out to us say, you know what, in order to do our work, you need to have a drone. We haven't had a client say that to LJ Shaw.
Right, right. Now, when your adjusters are um, handed claims, are they? Do you guys do like a photo and scope, or do you split the roll up like with a person who goes out and looks at it and gives it to a desk adjuster, or is your adjuster who's assigned to it have a checkbook and is handling the claim start to finish? It's just one
So
person,
it's just one person, start to finish. We don't have a checkbook. As an IA,
so to
I'll say,
speak.
yeah. It varies. We have some clients that want us to handle full adjustment of the claim, settle the claim, subject, final settlement figures are always subject to their review and approval. We
Right,
have other clients that want our adjusters to go out there, inspect, estimate, send a first and final report to the carrier. They proceed with settlement with their policyholder directly. We have some carriers that want us to give our coverage opinion on losses. We have other carriers that do not want us to, comment. They will address coverage directly
right.
from their office with their policyholder. So it depends. There's various degrees, but we don't have. And then we have situations too. Let me say this: on a larger loss, we may have co-adjusters on there. We may have one lead adjuster, and then another adjuster within our office, or two adjusters that are co-adjusting that because it may be involving multiple buildings. It may be a huge industrial plant that
Sure.
just to help service the policyholder and the insurance company better. It requires more hands involved in the claim. Um, so it just all depends on the client and what they're seeking from us.
Do you have? Are you finding that is there a role at LJ and Shaw where it's just a remote person sitting at their computer at home, or is that something that you guys do?
Um, meaning are adjusters working from their home, or just
Yeah, like
or desk adjusting solely?
desk adjusting or file review and things like that.
No, all our adjusters are field adjusters. Again, on occasion, we may have a client saying, we received this estimate. We don't need you to go out to the loss location. We just want you to review the estimate, desk adjust it to see if the estimate is in line. But primarily, our adjusters are field adjusters. They're going out there, inspecting, handling the claim from beginning to end.
Yeah,
We don't. I'll say co-adjust, meaning that we have a field adjuster that goes out, inspects, and then hands it off to another adjuster that's behind the desk to conclude the matter. We're not set up that way.
gotcha. So like a structure, somebody who's doing structure, large loss, and then large loss contents kind of thing. I've done that a little bit on fires and things.
Our guys handle all facets. Our
Yeah,
adjusters handle all. They'll
yeah,
handle the structure, contents, not as much, but now a lot of carriers are dealing with ALE directly with their
gotcha.
policyholder. Before we would be more involved with the ALE, working with a temporary housing company, setting that up, always subject to the carrier's final approval on what was decided. But it seems like nowadays the carriers already getting that involved and engaged directly with a temporary housing company. For commercial losses, depending on we also handle business interruption, but it depends on the complexity of the claim. If it's more complicated, more involved, we usually bring in an accountant to assist us, a forensic accountant to assist us. But if it's something not very complex, we'll handle the BI part of the claim as well, the business income part of the claim as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's maybe kind of land the plane here a little bit with the last question or two. So, Nino, put on your recruiter's hat. If you had the opportunity to talk to potential people for whether they're adjusters or for some other roles at your firm, what are you guys looking for, and what sort of qualifications are make the ideal candidate to onboard with you guys?
Well, I'm going to sell LJ Shaw right now because if you want to work for one of the oldest independent adjusting firms in the country that's, I'll say, well respected in the industry, we're a company to look into. What we're looking for is, we have specific criteria. We're looking for honest, ethical, hardworking people. We're working for open-minded people. We're working for coachable people. I'll say again, from our history, I've been with the company 30 years, and it's very rare that someone leaves. Over the years, few people have left retirement. They became an IA, decided they wanted to go back to staff adjusting. But it's very rare that an adjuster, once they start at LJ Shaw, leaves LJ Shaw. So if you're looking for stability, if you're looking for being an adjuster and your occupation as a profession, we offer that. And I would just say, like any person that we're interested in and we're reaching out to, speak to our staff. I'm going to sound biased. I'm one of the owners here. I'm going to sound like, we're the greatest company in the world. And I'm going to say that to you. And I truly believe that for what we do. I'll put our staff up against anyone else, but I say, talk to our staff. Here's names of our adjusters, of our clerical, of our office manager. Forget about asking me. Talk to them.
Sure.
See what they like and why they're here at LJ Shaw. If I was scared to do that, I wouldn't offer it. That's how confident. We have a family environment here. We have a good environment here. We don't micromanage, but when we need to get involved, we get involved.
Sure.
A perk of our industry is you have to be self-disciplined to do this, but you're not punching in a card. You make your own schedule. If you need to take a day off, take that day. As long as you're getting your work done, you have that flexibility. Yeah. And it's not. It could be stressful. I'm not going to lie to you. And at times it could be stressful, but it's not a boring occupation. It's you're dealing with something new, different. A lot of the times, it's an interesting career. It's definitely not a boring career.
For sure. Okay, so now, say I'm watching and I'm like, that sounds great. How do I apply at your firm?
Right now, we're not seeking new roles. We're staffed properly. But our industry, we're always looking for younger people if we can, for qualified people. And again, going back to our comment, if there's a more seasoned person that meets our qualifications, we're always looking for good people. However, I say that with the caveat, it depends on how busy we are as well. Last thing we want to do is hire someone and then say we don't have enough work for you because it's a slower period. But if anyone wants to reach out to us, LJ Shaw's website address is www.ljshaw.com. Feel free to reach out to us. Our office phone number is 630-932-0707. You could ask for me, and if it's someone that's interested just to get into the industry and has questions about the industry, I'd be more than glad to communicate with them.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and I think, even if you aren't actively trying to, add people to your roster, I think it's still worth contacting you guys and at least having, having the expectation that my resume's in there. And when you are ready to start, maybe a few people retire out or you expand or whatever it is, I'm going to be an adjuster if I'm, I don't do claims anymore, but if that was me, to start to build a relationship with you before you ever never give me any work. And calling and asking questions, I think, is a great start. And one of the questions I would have would be, what's the perfect resume? Assume that I believe that I'm coachable and I'm, creative and ready to work my rear end off. And, and then just asking sort of, as a question
Sure.
that I would ask is what else do you want to see on my resume? Do you want to see like a gazillion licenses? As a CPCU or an AIC or like a game changer? Like, is it, all other things being equal, two guys, same resume, I've got a CPCU and he doesn't, I'm getting, a lot more interest from you guys. In other words, what are the things I can do in the meantime while I'm building my career to make me look really good to sort of a small or a smaller, really very well established firm that's you guys have a relationship with carriers and all that for decades, and that's not a small thing.
Well, designations are important, but that's not the end all of everything. I mean,
Sure.
if someone has an AIC, CPCU versus someone that doesn't, we look at references also. I'll go back to reputation. We ask for references. We reach out and we ask people. Because I've been doing this for so long, if you're talking about the Chicagoland area and there's someone that within the Chicagoland area that's seeking, employment with LJ Shaw, I know a lot of people out there that I'll just reach out to and ask if they know this individual because, yeah, you know, again, the designations are important, but we're looking for someone with character too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more important to us. What is their reputation? Do they have a good reputation in the industry? And also, we're really not LJ Shaw's really not set up. To hire a newbie that has absolutely no experience.
Sure.
Or if it's a younger individual, again, even you may have a more seasoned individual that's just getting into the industry. We like to have that person have at least 2 to 3 years experience, just to have some basic knowledge in what we do. And from that point on, we could assist them and mentor them to become better adjusters. But it's difficult because we're a smaller firm. We don't have a training department that, our the partners, the ownership of LJ Shaw. We're adjusters. We're handling claims out there. We're running the business, but we're also handling claims, and we help our younger guys as much as we can. They come to us and ask us questions, but to dedicate for a new with no experienced adjuster, I'm going to be honest and transparent. We're not set up that way. So at least a few years of experience is something that we would be looking at as well.
Sure. Sure. So it's a long story short, you're a firm that a new adjuster can aspire to finding their way
Yes,
into.
and I'm a perfect example. I started my career again with Aetna right out of college. I was with them for about 5.5 years. I signed some losses to LJ Shaw. I I built a relationship with a few people here at LJ Shaw at the time. And then they reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested. And I'll never forget, at the time I asked my supervisor at Aetna, I was transparent with my supervisor and I said, you know what, LJ Shaw's reached out to me. I've heard good things about them, but I was fairly a newbie at the time, 5 years experience. And my supervisor at the time said, you'd be crazy not to explore that opportunity further. If I had that same chance, I would look into it. And that's what I did.
Nice.
And I'll say the rest is history. It was for me, best career decision I could have made. And I'm glad I
Very
did.
nice. All right. One last question for you, and we'll wrap her up.
All right.
You said that there was a mid-year conference for NAIIA. Do you have any more details on that?
We have a mid-year meeting that
For
just the
meeting.
officer, it's just
Okay.
a, It's just a board. Our next national conference is March of 2026, and it's in
Okay.
Point Clear, Alabama.
Okay.
And you could go to our website, NAIIA.com, to get more information about the conference.
Perfect. Well, Nino, thank you so much for joining me on the Adjuster TV.
Matt, it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you bet, brother. And if you've been wondering whether this is still a smart career move in an AI-driven world, then you need to watch this video right here to see how the best adjusters are doing it. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm.